Michelle, I'm an addict. Woo. Woo. Yeah. Man, thank y'all. First, I'd like to say thank you to Narcotics Anonymous. Narcotics Anonymous gave me a life worth living. And I'd like to say thank you to the Georgia region. For whatever reason it was that your high power laid on your heart to hear something in that CD and believe in me to come and carry a message to the still suffering addict inside this room, I thank you. I thank you for trusting me to be a Saturday night speaker at your convention. Karen, I thank you for believing in me. And that's why I asked you to introduce me, not because you know me for a long time, but because you believe in me and you don't know me. You heard me one time. I like to thank the people who believe in me and came down here to support me. I love it. I want to say this. This is my first time being a main speaker. So if I fuck up, I don't know how I'm going to fuck up my own story, but if I fuck it up, please forgive me. If I don't share like you think I should share, please forgive me. Because there's one person that I have come to talk to. And if anybody other than that one person, because I'm telling you, I believe there is one person in here that needs to hear what I have to share. I need to tell the newcomer this before I begin, that I may talk about some things that have never happened to you. Because one thing I believe about in sharing is that I become intimate, true intimacy, in letting you see into me. Allowing you to see the miracle that has truly transpired through the program of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm not talking about the mask that I've worn, but I'm talking about when you begin to see who I was versus who I am today. I'm talking about allowing you to see that a woman who has never believed in herself could stand here tonight on Jekyll's Island among people who I thought I would never stand before, not be in the presence of, only because of a high power that has guided my footstep when I didn't even know it. Like not coming from a religious background, not really knowing or ever having a true connect with anything that was greater than myself. Having a lot of tragic and turmoil and dysfunction in my family, in my life, in my story. Like hitting the bottom and going through things that I never thought I would go through. To be standing right here on March the 24th, 2018. I have to read something because I'm a literature individual. I won't stand up here and teach Narcotics Anonymous, and I didn't come to drop pearls of wisdom. But I related to the literature even before I heard my first H&I message, right? The little white booklet that they give you in treatment. I remember opening it, and it said an addict alone is in bad company. And I was like, man, every time I'm by myself, that thing happens. Something begins to talk to me. Something begins to compel me to do things against my will. And then I heard H&I. But by that time, I had read that entire white booklet. And we do recover in the narrative that Jimmy K wrote. With several other addicts and some members of AA who had great faith in us and the program we formed in July of 1953, what we now know as Narcotics Anonymous. We felt that now the addict would find from the start as much identification as each needed to convince himself that he could stay clean by the example of others who had recovered for many years. In the third tradition, on page 147, it says, although addiction takes on a broader meaning for many of us as we continue in recovery, it's important to remember that we first came to NA because of our drug problems. If new members are to feel that they belong in NA, they need to hear something they can identify with. So like I didn't come to talk about the traditions. I didn't come to talk about the other addictions that I deal with, the other obsession and compulsion that I found after being here a little while and working some steps with my sponsor. Like I didn't come to talk about that, but what I came to talk about was the thing that will convince the newcomer that you too can recover. The thing that will help you to identify with me, although I don't look like you, I may not talk like you, I may not walk like you, my lifestyle may not be like yours, but maybe we can touch on a deeper level of identification, which they call similarities, where the pain of addiction will bind us together. Maybe you'll leave here tonight saying, she don't look like me, she don't talk like me, she ain't got this like me, but damn, she felt what I felt when I couldn't stop at the end of my road. Because that's what Jimmy K was saying, that addicts was still going out because they couldn't identify on the deeper level of symptoms with the people in AA. So him and some other people got together and said, hey, we see these people, and this is the thing. He was staying clean. He was staying clean. But he was seeing other people go out. And so he got with somebody to help somebody else. Thank God that he didn't say, well, they getting high, the hell with them, I'm all right. I'm good. Because that's what sometimes people do. But he wanted to help them. And they began the program of Narcotics Anonymous. He said that people were still going out. He said, but there were some that stayed. And those began to get many, many years of clean time. That's what still happened today in 2018. Some people are leaving, but there are some who are staying, and we continue to get clean time by the example of others. When I was in my first H&I meeting, I didn't identify with the steps that she was talking about. I had no idea what a damn step was other than the step that I was sitting on trying to get some sleep because I ain't had no damn where to live. Them the only steps I identified with. What I identified with was this story she told me. She said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over, trying to get different results. She said, for instance, I had $60. I was like, what the fuck? I had $60. I had $60. She said, and I took 40 and I hid it. God damn, I hid $40. I never met this lady before. I said, damn, I had that too. So by this time, I done moved from the back up to the front of the table at the treatment center. I'm like, this. Because this woman got to know what she talking about. Because shit, I had $60, she had $60. I put up $40, she put up $40. So I want to know what the end was going to be. She said, can I please have some water? I said, can I have some water? Thank y'all. She said, and I said, I'm just going to use this 20 and I'm going to keep this 40. And she hid it from herself. What the hell do we hide our money from ourselves? Like we don't know where it's at, right? But she hid it, I hid it. So she said, and within 10, 15 minutes, I'm back getting that money. And then within 10, 15 minutes, all my money gone. She said, and that was insanity because I did this over and over and over again. I said, damn, I must be insane because I've done it over and over again. She said, you're not responsible for your disease, but you're responsible for your recovery. I didn't know what she meant by disease. That's what this something. I remember sitting on my couch. I tell you no lie. This had to be about 2006. And I was crying like a baby. I had been all out night. And I told my partner, I said, man, I keep using this something that keeps running me out this door like this because I don't want to do it. And when I opened that literature on page 3 in the flat book, and it said it is something that makes us prone to obsessive and compulsive behavior, I knew that I had just touched bases on a solution that had eluded me for a lifetime. Like I knew Narcotics Anonymous had the answer to whatever it was to make me stop using. I don't want to give you the impression that I did this thing perfectly because I didn't. But there was one thing that I did since 2007 of December 15. I have not found it necessary to pick up no dope. I've been through some stuff, right? I've been through some stuff. My recovery has not been easy. And if you hear me get a little loud, I'm sorry, but it's the compassion that I feel for this program, man, because I'm talking about I ain't never, ever in my life found anything or anybody to believe in me the way that y'all did when I got here. The way that y'all did when I got here. I'm talking about it didn't matter. I remember them telling me, keep coming back, Michelle. Even when she slept with the ones in the room, they said, keep coming back, Michelle. Even when I had to sit there and be angry because the people in the circle that I thought would love me had betrayed me and I didn't know where to go, but I know I couldn't go back out there. They said, keep coming back, Michelle. And I did. I'm talking about when the desire to use becomes greater. When the desire to not use becomes greater than the desire to use. It says an addict can be prayed over, counseled, whatever. He will not stop until he is ready. But the desire, and that's why I love y'all topic, it says, I'm a member when I say I am. And our literature says, when we make the decision, I don't want to get this twisted for you newcomer. All you have to do according to the third tradition is make a decision to be a member. And you are a member when you say you are. Now I'm going to tell you something about membership. It didn't say you'll receive the benefits, but you can be a member. In order to receive the benefits, it said those that work steps receive many benefits. So that's another level. That's something else. But if you just want to join our way of life, if you want what you see somebody else have and you're willing to make the effort to get it, then these are the steps that we take. Then you make a decision to be a part of Narcotics Anonymous, and we say welcome. We say if you here, you ain't never got to use again. Never got to use again. When I got here, I was broken. I was empty. I was lonely. I was afraid. And I could not stop using. And I wasn't quite sure that this was going to work for me. But what I was sure of is I had no other options. I had tried geographical change. I had tried substituting one for another. I had tried men. I had tried women. I had tried everything I could think of, and everything took me right back to the dope. And I never thought that I would go through treatment. But I went to treatment. I was in prison, I was in jail, and I was facing, I had a burglary charge, and I'd already been in prison for burglary in 1993. I've been to prison 4 different times. I've served time in every institution in South Carolina for females. And I was on my way back with another burglary charge. And I remember, I'm going to tell you about this disease that I suffer from. Prior to me catching that charge, I went to voc rehab, and I had asked the man, I said, I need some help. He said, okay. He said, we're going to send you to treatment. This was on September 3rd. I was supposed to leave out. But my disease said, hey, your birthday, September 29th. I was like, damn, you're right. My birthday's September 29th. And if you go to treatment on September 29th, we ain't going to have no fun. I said, damn, we ain't going to have no fun. I'm gullible. I heard a guy say he was gullible. I was gullible as hell. And I want to tell them war stories that I did. I ain't do jack. All I did was smoke crumbs and tricked and prostituted myself and lied and steal. I ain't never had nothing big, and I always fell for everything because I did not have street smarts. I learned at the end, and I was always getting got by somebody. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, what I realized was that I was really out there trying to find love. See? So I was, and I hate to share this shit right here. I was that one that would trick and then smoke my dope with the trick. What kind of shit is that? Like, who does that shit? Who does that? I done did all this and then I'm going to smoke it with you? But I wanted him to like me. I wanted him to like me, and I wanted him to come back because, see, all I wanted to do was be somebody's number one. I wanted to be first, and it didn't matter that it became twisted and unhealthy. It didn't matter that the thing that I didn't like to do, I began to like to do because it became a part of my lifestyle. That didn't matter. It just mattered that for that moment, man, he seemed to love me. But I loved women. What the hell was really going on with me? Y'all laughing at me and shit. I'm serious. What's going on with me? Everything that I thought I was, I have become something else. Everything I thought I liked, I don't like. I'm liking something else. My world has turned into upside down. Upside down. Where did I leave on? September 29th. Thank you, Susan. You're all right. So September the 29th, I say, man, I can't go in no treatment. I ain't going to have no fun because if I go in treatment, either they going to... I said, if I go in treatment, either they going to stop me from drinking and having fun, or I won't have no fun. That ain't no kind of logic, but that was the best I could do. You know what I mean? And that was my thing. That was my best thinking. So I came up with an idea. Hey, I told my partner, I said, look, I got to do this. I got to do this. She gambled the hell, so she didn't care. She like, yeah, you right. As long as I said money, she was like, okay. Because she was worse than me. And so we came up with a plan. I said, this shit funny right here. I said, look at here. I'm going to go to those meetings. I don't know jack about no meetings. I ain't never been to a meeting. What I used to do was tell people when I would go to Florence, South Carolina, where I'm from, and I was looking nice because I thought I was functioning. And I would tell people, yeah, I'm in those meetings. They pay for us to go on retreats and stuff like that. They pay for everything. Y'all don't pay for nothing. But that's what I would say, right? So I said, I'll go to those meetings and I'll be okay. She was like, yeah, you'll be all right. Lo and behold, for the end of the month, I was in prison. I was in jail facing a prison sentence. And I remember sitting in that Walter Litcher says that we'll come face to face with our disease where there's no rationalization and justification. Like we say, could it be the drugs? And I remember sitting in this cell, right? And for the first time in my life, the moment of clarity was so clear that it wasn't the police picking on me, that it didn't matter if I had turned left or if I had came out earlier, but that it was every time I put something in that altered my mind, I ended up on my knees, I ended up on my back, I ended up in a jail cell, I ended up doing something against my own will. And I remember saying, if I get out of this, I'm going to go get this help. And I did that. And I went in there and I told him exactly what my problem is. And I went into treatment, right? And they sent me home after being there for 4 days. And they gave me some suggestions, and I was scared to death because I thought I was going to use again. And they said, you're going to be okay. I'm saying, man, y'all just don't know me. But guess what? I went home. And on the 7th day, which was that Tuesday, it was a Christmas night, I had been to 2 meetings. I'd gotten 2 phone lists, one on Saturday night, one on Sunday night. And they told me, you know, if you need someone, call someone. Use this phone list. And on that Tuesday night, that thing got on me. And I'm talking about I wanted to use like I never wanted to use before. And I tried to pray and I tried to journal and nothing was working. And by the time I had the $10 bill balled up in this hand, I had the sneakers up under my arm. And I was standing at my front door. And I did call the dealer. And he did not answer. And I got to the door, and I promise you, when I looked like this, the phone list was laying on the couch. And I'm standing at the door, and I'm saying, I want to go. But they said use the phone list. I want to go, but they said use the phone list. And it's that moment right there where I'm going to either use or I'm going to do something different. And I sat on the couch. I still got my shoes under my arm. I got my $10 bill ball up in my hand. But I get the phone and I cock it and I start to dialing. And the first list, this girl answered, but she didn't really do it for me. But the next list, there were six people. I called every one of them. Nobody answered till I got to the last number. The last number. And the lady said, hello. I said, this is Michelle, and I want to use. I never forget what this lady said. She said, Michelle, you don't have to use. She said, we could talk or I can listen. But you don't have to use, Michelle. We talked for 3.5 hours. And before I knew it, I had slid down in the chair and I had slid the shoes on the ground. And I had kind of unloosed that $10 bill and laid it on the couch. And I went to bed and I woke up and my money was still there. Something was beginning to happen in my life that had never happened before. You know, I didn't use during that time. There were the girls who was in my group, they all got high. But I didn't. And when I came back, y'all, I ran my ass straight here to a meeting. I got a home group. See, I understand that since I've been here Thursday, I've been making sure I was in meetings and workshops and everything I could get, I've been soaking it up. And what I heard was a lot of different ways that people work this program. I heard some people say they didn't put their sponsees on step work until 2 years. Some said you had to read the literature, this triangle self-obsession, write 280 fucking pages. I heard that, Alan. You wrong, man, you wrong. But I heard that. You know, there were so many different ways to do it. But that is for a sponsor to decide. It is not for my network to decide. It is not for the old timer who sits by me to decide. It is for the one person that I have chosen to believe in me during this process to decide how I work my steps, when I work my steps, and how we go. Because let me tell you something. At 3 months clean, I started working steps, and I've worked the hell out of them since I've been here. I've been through 4 fourth steps. I went through the 12 steps 3 times, but see, I had 4 babies out there. You understand what I'm saying? I had 4 babies during my run of prostitution for drugs. My first child, I've been with her, like in and out of her life. She had drugs in her system. My second child was a son. And I gave him up for adoption because the best idea was that I can't have another child. This was my thinking. First of all, you're supposed to be gay. How can you explain to these people that you're having these babies? Because, see, I ain't believe no damn body knew I was doing what I was doing. Not even to mention that my mother was dying from AIDS. I was about to face my first prison sentence. And my mind was crazy because I was full-blown active addiction. And I gave him up. I hadn't seen him since he was 2 days old, even as of today. My third child, after I got out of that prison run, and I thought I had it together because it said I could always stop, but I could never stay stopped. So I got out of prison, and I did good for about 2 or 3 months. And I was back out there doing what I was doing, and I had a third child. Now, on this child, I said, you know what? I'm not giving my baby up. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm keeping her. And I go out to get some help, and I come back, and I said, where my baby at? My grandmother said, DSS come by, and it's not registering. I say, where's my daughter? And she says, DSS got her. And I remember hollering. And they took her. And my aunt from New Jersey, she came down the next day, and she got her. But it hurt so bad. Because I had her, I held her, I rocked her, I changed her pamper. I knew that it was going to be okay, but again, I had fucked up. And I listened to my child lay in a room, and the self-loathing had set in so bad that I couldn't even walk around there and say, can I hold her? Can I rock her? Because she missed me. I didn't feel worthy. And when they took her away, I remember walking into a bathroom, and I just fell on my knees, and I didn't want to holler for nobody. You ever hollered in silence? I screamed in silence. And I left my house, and I can tell you that there's that period of time, I still don't remember what happened. My fourth child, I almost had in a park. I was strung out so bad, I was homeless. Nobody wanted to be bothering me. I had cut off everything. You couldn't help me because this disease had me so bad that I would crawl on the floor in my grandmother's room and go into her pocketbook. It didn't matter. I couldn't stop. And when she was born, I went to the hospital, and the next morning after I had her, I went into the ICU unit. She was blue when she was born. And they got her back alive. And there was a part of me that hoped that they wouldn't, because of the shame and the guilt of what I'd done, how I had conceived these children. And my value system was so warped because I remember being a little girl and my mother separating my brother and I. The only thing that I had, that I loved my brother so much. And they took me to Jersey and they left him here. And I remember saying, like, I never do my kids like that if I had kids. I'll never separate them, but I've separated 4. And when I saw her in the hospital, like, I stood from here to maybe there, and I wouldn't even walk over and touch her because I already knew they was going to take her. And I left the hospital and I never saw her again. In 2001, I signed the papers in prison so that her family could adopt her. So when I tell you that it is an honor and a privilege for someone like me to stand before you and carry a message to someone, I'm truly sincere. Because the place that this disease took me, I didn't think I would live to see 30. I was doing all kind of things and going all kind of places. And when I came here, y'all, like, I was hurt. I was broken. And I immediately started working steps. See, I don't want to be ashamed of the things I've done in the past because they are my past. They don't define who I am anymore. This program has helped me to begin to tap into the woman that God had originally created, but that got caught caught up. I got caught up in the molestation. I got caught up in nobody protecting me. I got caught up in the low self-esteem. I got caught up in my daddy was gone. I got caught up in a personality that was warped, that never believed people really liked me. The biggest thing about me sharing up here was that I don't think y'all like me. I don't think they're going to like me. But it's okay. It's okay. I didn't come here for anybody to like me. I just came here to share my story. And you know, like, since I've been here, that same brother that I talked about, let me back up a little bit. When I got clean, I was in a very toxic relationship, but I had been in it for about 7 years at the time. And I wasn't going anywhere for the moment. I did end up leaving that, and like I said, I started working steps immediately, so by 9 months clean, I was in my 7th step. And I remember sitting on the side of my bed and saying, either I'm going to go use, I'm ready to fuck her up. It's 2 options. But Narcotics Anonymous gave me a 3rd option. It said, leave. Leave. Damn, leave. And that's what I did. I moved out, and my daughter was pregnant. Right? My daughter was pregnant. And we moved out, and I had this image in my head. You know, I don't know about y'all, but every time I make a decision, I always play out how it's going to happen right here. Right? I have everything sketched out from here to all the way about 10 years from now. Yep. Guess I'll go ahead and let her go to USC. Yeah. My daughter will drive this. Yeah. No. I got it all walked out. And the most devastating thing that happens is that it never works out like that. And see, because I'm not prepared for it, because I haven't tapped into my 11th step, I begin to feel let down. I begin to feel self-pity. I begin to feel like nothing ain't never gonna work out for me. What have I done wrong, God? Instead of just saying, let thy will be done. That's what it says in the literature. Like the more we meditate and the more we pray, the easier it is to say, your will, not mine. But when the human part comes, and this is my child, and she has this baby, and she's not doing right, I don't see that. Because the first thing I always think of, how can I change you? How can I change you to do or be who I need you to be so I can be okay? You can fulfill my dream, my fantasy. There used to be my fantasy. There used to be a song about my fantasy. Y'all know y'all ass be fantasizing. Don't front. I know y'all do. I know y'all fantasize. Right? So when my daughter began to become rebellious and was staying out and all this, and I'm there with the baby, and I sat on my bed one night, man, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing this for? The relationship is gone, my daughter is gone, and here I am with a little 5-month-old baby. I barely have money. I'm digging in a damn Pringles can, trying to get change to get a pack of cigarettes and to get gas in my car to drive 45 miles to work and 45 miles back, and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and y'all talking about keep coming back, but this shit ain't paying off. It ain't paying off. And I heard this guy that I hated in the damn meeting in my head. I'm talking about I hated this guy, and I'm going to tell you he became a major part of my story. So then I had a reason to hate his ass. Right? I heard this man that always shared in the meeting, if you're doing positive things, positive results must follow. I heard that. And man, I cried like a baby that night, but I didn't use no dope. And I got up and I got that baby and I took her to the babysit for 45 miles an hour, and my tires was blowing out left and damn right, and I couldn't afford no new tire. I was buying used tire. It was hard, man. And not only that, I'm working 2 jobs, and I'm sitting out in the parking lot till the meeting start, because the meeting is where I work at, and I live 45 miles away. And I'm telling you, man, I'm sleeping out there to get a meeting. And after I get my meeting, I go home. And then on Mondays, I go to Greenville because they have H&I, and I do that since I walked out of that institution. And then I go to Greenville, and I go to the New Freedom Group because they're like my home group, right? I'm doing this every Monday. Every Monday. People think I'm from Greenville because I'm in that meeting every Monday. And then I go back home and I do it all over again. And long story short, my daughter ended up doing what she wanted to do, and I ended up raising this child. At 3 years old, she was bit in her face by a bulldog. And you know, my high power is so wonderful because the scar is at the tip of her eye and her temple. And you could see the scar at her temple, and if he would have just went a little bit more, he would have killed her. And when I walked into that hospital and I saw my baby laying there with her face laying open, like we say, I would have fucked them up. Man, I wasn't thinking about that. I was like, are you okay? And my daughter said, Mom, you need to go ahead and get her. And so I got her. And I've been raising her since then. She's never went without nothing. She's had the best of everything. I have her in karate today. That's my baby. She called me this morning. We talked. She just called me in and going, Grandma, you talk to my mama because she won't let me do nothing. I say it's between y'all. Because what's happening is like over the years, right, I was so hard on my daughter. I'm like, you know, you need to do this and you need to do that. And I'm telling you something about getting older and working steps and really getting honest and working steps and beginning to see yourself and working steps and then having children. And what I begin to see is the same thing in her was the same thing in me. Like she is a replica of me. You know what I mean? She is the exact same as I am. But I really fucked that girl up. I did. I was so busy telling her what she wasn't doing all her life. Beating her down all her life. Not all her life, but since I had been clean. I wanted the best of her, and I thought tough love would do it. Tough love don't do it for everybody. Remember that for the newcomer. Everybody don't need to be beat upside the damn head. Some people are fragile. I need to get to know you. That's why all sponsors are different. Some sponsors, they say, oh, she loving her to death, but she's staying clean. And some sponsors are hard as hell, but their people are staying clean. And if they don't stay clean, it's not a reflection of the sponsor. It's because I have a desire to use more than I do to stay clean. I've learned to stop being so judgmental in here of people that do things a little bit different than I do, as long as it coincides with the literature. Because they didn't write this for nothing. But you know, when I talk about working steps, I have to talk about the main thing that I found. I found a lot of love in y'all, but there came a time when I couldn't even talk to y'all. There came a time when my sponsor had poured everything into me that she could pour into me. And there was a relationship that I had been avoiding for a long time that I had to get in contact with. If I was going to stay here and continue in my recovery, I had to be reintroduced to a God of my understanding. And that's what the steps began to do for me. The steps introduced me to a power that was greater than myself. When I first got here, the power was y'all. The power was the meetings. The power was the group. Now I can actually say that I have a higher power, and I don't know what it is. When I think of it, I think about that water out there. I think about the sky. That's what I think about. Like, that's a power that's greater than me. The universe itself is greater than me. And I think about how gracious it has been to watch me over all these years do all I had to do and begin to guide and lead me. So like now, I don't regret the things that I've done in the past. I embrace them because I know those are the things that made me be right here today. Without those things, I wouldn't be standing before you. I would not be the woman that I am today. Like I raised my grandbaby, right? I no longer have to dig in the Pringle can for money because I have a banking account. I have a home to stay in. I have a car to drive. I could come to conventions and do things that I want to do, and I live a life that I never thought I'd live, not because I have so much materialistic thing, but because I found some love for myself. I found the love for a woman who had lost the ability to love. A woman that could not even love her own children have found love in the eyes of strangers. Like I'm talking about people that I do not know, that I don't live next to, but I know if I have your number and I call you, you would help me stay clean. And that's why I am a member, because I say that I am a member of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm so grateful and thankful that you guys love me when I could not love myself, because today I have just a little bit of love for me, man, and it's because of each one of you. Thank you, and if no one said they love you tonight, I love you.